Hey guys, my name is Chantel, welcome back to my channel and thanks for hanging out with me today. So, episode 3 of Haikyuu. Oh man. There's a lot that I want to talk about, so let's just go ahead and just dive right in. And again, this is going to be another Hinata focused episode, which is very much needed, especially because this is slowly starting to show that Hinata is growing and is getting something out of the camp. When I first read this in the manga, I was really proud of Hinata for finding out what it was that he needed to do in his training camp so he wouldn't be wasting his time. So I really admire that about Hinata, and him just continuing to move forward, think, and try to find a solution to something was really incredible, and it makes me just love Hinata even more. And it was just so amazing because in this episode you just basically get to hear him say, you know, I never really looked at it this way. And he even says in this episode, you know, I've never looked at Nishinoya's back and how he plays. And this is basically where he pretty much starts to realize, you know, there really is so much more than just chasing after the ball. He is like taking in the view of the court and everyone's movements. Interestingly enough, he remembers something back in middle school from one of his friends that played tennis. I think it was soft tennis or tennis, one or the other. And the reason why he remembers this little thing is just because he sees somebody do something that was very much similar to what his friend did in the past. And he was like, wait, I've seen that before, but where? And he starts to remember about it and he's like, what was it called? And it was called split step. And he basically incorporates that when he's trying to catch the balls as they're like flying in and going around. And obviously Hinata is gonna have a hard time adjusting because he doesn't know how to time it right, and he's also figuring out how to read the players as well, which is a lot to take in. And especially for someone like Hinata who's always relying on his instincts, this time he has to think about it before he moves. And it's tough at first, but then you start to see him slowly but surely get it to the point where he's like able to catch the ball while he's doing that. And it's just so amazing to see that happen. And I was just like, I'm so proud of my boy. And I do like that, I believe he's like one of the coaches or assistant coach, something like that. But I remember this guy, he was saying, you know, Hinata's always relied on instinct and how, you know, he really does lack in the basics, and he just basically did whatever he could to make up for that. But now he's like thinking, and I really like that the guy was saying, you know, eventually his instincts and him thinking is going to become so natural to him, but it's going to be something that he's going to be able to merge together and basically become something more. And he's not basically like, he's not going to rely just on instincts anymore. And that's a huge deal for Hinata, especially because, like I said earlier, he's constantly thinking about all these different things that he never really had to think about before. But because Kageyama's out of the picture, now he really has to. And also, like I said earlier in my previous videos, he's got to prove his worth. And he also knows that he does lack the basics, and he's got to start from scratch and learn these. So it's been really interesting overall seeing Hinata's growth so far in this episode, especially. Like, it's just been so fantastic, and like I said, I'm so proud. And unfortunately, he can't stay with the rest of the people that are staying for the training camp overnight. The coach of Shira Torizawa is like, those who weren't invited are not allowed to be here, so yeah. And I remember reading this in the manga and I was like, dude, really? Like, just give him a place to stay. Like, he came all this way, and you know, like, I felt really bad for Hinata, and I was a little bit upset about that. Funny enough, Tendo does also come to Hinata's defense. Like, he doesn't tell like the coach or anything, but he's just like, isn't that a little too much? Like, we have the room, why not just like offer it to him? But Ushiwaka does make a point, you know, Hinata invited himself to the training camp, and he can't really get special treatment because, one, Hinata did cause all this trouble for everybody else and made like this huge scene. Two, Hinata, like I was saying earlier, he can't be treated as somebody special either. He has to be treated like everyone else equally, and because he wasn't invited, you know, it's kind of like, well, sorry, that's one of the consequences of you barging in our training camp. And as harsh as it is and hard to swallow, it's understandable, and especially because I think Oshiwaka was saying this in this episode as well, that this could also cause like more instances as well in the future if they were to treat Hinata as like somebody special. Because let's just say like somebody else wants to like barge into the training camp next year or something like that, and because Hinata was able to stay, they can be like, well, why did Hinata stay here last time? So, you know, it's gonna cause like this whole thing. So to avoid all that too, that is also why. So like I said, you can't be too mad. Like at first, like I said earlier, I was mad, but at the same time it's like, makes sense. But oh my gosh, I felt so bad for Hinata because you can hear his stomach growling and he's just like, man, I'm hungry. And I really like this moment in this episode, and this is also another moment that I was looking forward to seeing animated, because Hinata starts to think about his diet. And he does go on and say that he felt bad for eating the hamburger, but because he was so hungry, he was just like, screw it, I don't care at this moment. But he does know that he needs to eat properly in order to gain his muscle and to just, you know, be healthy. And sure enough, who does he call first? And that is Coach Ukai. And I really like this because he basically gives Hinata tips, stuff that basically he can grab on the way, and then that way he can hold on a little bit longer until he eats his proper meal at home. So that was really nice, and he basically told him what he needed in his body right now so he can you know, not cave into the hamburger again. Which I thought was a really nice little detail, because these are things that Hinata wasn't considering before, but now he's like considering. Like he even says it in this episode, he's like, man, you know, before I just went straight home and the meal was right there, but now I have to think about this and just do this properly. Which was really nice, because it, like I said, it goes to show you that Hinata's starting to think about all these things that he never really did before. Which really shows that Hinata is slowly growing, and like I said, I'm just so proud of my boy. And I do like in this episode, he does say that he knows that he was also always constantly chasing after the ball, but now he has to see everything in a different perspective, take it all in, and just learn from this experience. And it's just, this ball boy arc is definitely amazing. And this arc, you guys, has such an impact on Hinata. Like you're starting to see it now, especially in this episode, but just wait until all of this. Like this is basically like Hinata's foundation for later on, and that's basically all I'll say, because yeah, spoilers. And then we get towards the end of the episode, where this is also another moment that I was looking forward to seeing animated, and that is when Tsukishima asks Hinata to come with him for a little bit. And I really like this because Hinata's just like, wait, me? Like he's like so shocked. And when I first read this in the manga, I was really shocked. I was like, what? Tsukishima? And this also goes to show just how much my boy Tsukishima has grown. Like my eyes are getting like so watery-eyed, because I'm just so proud. Because before, I feel like Tsukishima would never ever do this, but in this moment he's just like swallowing his pride and everything that he has, and just telling Hinata like, hey, come here for a sec, which you guys will see later on in next week's episode what that's all about. But it's just so not like Tsukishima to do this, so to see him do this was like very special. And throughout this whole episode, you can see clearly like he is concerned for Hinata. Like he's a little bit worried, and he does care for Hinata in his own way. I know I said that in last week's video as well, but I feel like in this episode you can definitely clearly see him, because he's always looking at Hinata every now and then, and you can kind of see like, you know, he's a little bit worried, but he's not like stepping in to help or do anything. Up until now is when he's starting to say something. He's like, come here for a sec, and that's how the episode ends. And I'm excited. I'm excited to dive into next week's episode, you guys. Especially because, and almost towards the end of the episode, we do get to see a glimpse of Kageyama's training camp. And oh my gosh, you guys, which I knew we were gonna get a glimpse of it, especially because earlier this week they did post like preview pictures of this episode, and I saw my boy Atsumu and I was going feral, you guys. Like absolutely feral. Like my boy Atsumu only had a little bit of a glimpse here, especially for you anime onlys, and you guys, I'm pretty sure all the anime onlys are looking at me like, you have been going pretty feral over this boy, like what? Which everything will be explained in next week's episode. I promise you guys, I promise, because next week's episode, based on the preview, is gonna be mainly focused on Kageyama's training camp, which I'm so excited to dive in, you guys, because oh my gosh, I'm so excited for you anime onlys to meet my boy Atsumu. Finally, you guys will finally get to see what he's like. You will meet him, you will hear him, I will hear him, I will hear Mamoru Miyano's beautiful voice coming out of this character. And what I really like is because like Kaito Ishikawa, which is Kageyama's voice actor, he did say in the, I think it was the live stream when they first aired the first episode of Haikyuu, there was a live stream beforehand, and he was saying how Mamoru Miyano has been so fantastic as Atsumu that even he gets annoyed, which that's all I'll say. And just hearing that gets me so excited, you guys. I'm just like, oh my gosh, like I'm so excited to hear Mamoru Miyano's performance. I'm sorry I'm geeking out right now. It's just I love Mamoru Miyano and I love Atsumu. He's one of my favorite characters from Haikyuu, and oh my gosh, I just can't wait to see the anime only's reactions when you guys get to meet him next week. Like, my boy is making his grand entrance finally. Like, I'm so excited. Like, I kid you not, in this episode, like I said, we got glimpses of Atsumu. We get to hear him, like, make these little noises, and we get to hear him do this little giggle, and I just about died, you guys. Like, oh my gosh, just imagine next week. How the hell am I gonna survive next week? I'm gonna die. Dig my grave, like, prep it, you guys, because I don't know how I'm gonna survive next week's episode. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited, I'm so excited. Anyways, I think I'm done geeking out for now. I hope you guys enjoyed hearing me, you know, geek out about Atsumu. Next week, you guys, next week! And, you know, we're gonna dive into Kageyama's training camp and stuff like that. It's just lots of exciting stuff, and I'm so excited to see the anime only's reaction especially. But anyways, that is it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed hearing my ramblings and all my thoughts, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye!